thank you again for joining us for the Scouting Report. This time we look ahead to Saturday's visit to the Stadium of Light and Sunderland. We have Graham Falk joining us. How are you doing today, Graham?
I'm all right. I've had a couple of days since Saturday to chill out. Do you know you wait like months for the season to come back, then you go, nah, wish it just stayed in the past. But I'm all right, man. Not too bad. As you can see, in a jovial mood, so not too bad.
Yeah, we Rotherham fans know the feeling of hating the season when it comes along. But 2 games in, it can only get better. Let's just start by talking about last season first, because we both came up together. Both had successful seasons. Yours was a different success. We know it ended in defeat at Luton, but I imagine it was a great season to be involved in as a fan of the club.
Oh, absolutely. Like, openly, like, look, I'm 37 coming up, so I was alive when Phillips and Quinn were a thing, and they were like amazing seasons and amazing times to be a Sunderland fan, especially like me being like 11 or 12 as it was at the time. But last season was genuinely one of the most like fun seasons to watch. It wasn't just like the football was great, because it was brilliant football at times, and I think a lot of people have seen how good we really were. But then you look at like the results, how it ended, that the fact that there was no pressure on Sunderland for once. Like 4 seasons in League One, you're like, like pressure every single year. But even in the Championship, you had pressure, and then there was pressure of relegation, like going down in the Premier League when we were there for 10 years, like every single season. There was never a season where you could just go, right, okay, if we finish 11th, that would be great. And the fact that there was no pressure from day dot, and I think everyone's seen it, but once Amad Diallo got into gear, like, what a player, like one of the best I've ever seen. And when you've got a player that can just bang one in from 35 yards out just because he fancies it, then. But it was a very un-Sunderland season, to be honest. Like, you know, we lost Ross Stewart twice to big injuries, and I think everyone's seen how important he was in League One, and I think he scored like 11 goals in like 15 games or something last year. So he still like did really well. Around that, my stats aren't always a strong point, but something like that. It was good. And you look at Alex Neil walking out after 4 games, and you get Tony Mowbray, which isn't the most exciting thing. And everything that could have went against us did. Like we lost Ellis Sims, he got recalled, and you look at all those things, and it just worked out. It was just fine. It's not going to plan this season. It's like it's coming back on us a bit, but it was just really enjoyable. And like I would relive that season again and again and again, even if it meant us getting beat in the semi-finals against Luton, because it was just great, really good fun.
Yeah, Tony Mowbray, like I said, it's not the most exciting. I imagine when he got appointment, everybody wasn't sort of buzzing about it, but he's steady and he gets this league, doesn't he? I thought when you appointed that it's a really clever appointment, and it obviously turned out to be the case as well. He seems a good fit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I feel a bit sorry for him at the moment, like because I think he's got a knife and he's taken it to a gunfight a little bit. Got the issues with the strikers yet again, and we've got a model where we'll only sign players who are 12 years old. So we only play with small, young, inexperienced young players. But he's good for them, to be honest. Like, I mean, if I look at last season, because like we went on Saturday and all this kind of sadness about losing the first 2 games is gone, isn't it? So last season was great, and a lot of it was down to him. Like, I loved Alex Neil, but Alex Neil leaving was like really, really quite a big thing. I was quite depressed about it because I loved Alex Neil. I like a straight talking Scottish manager that kind of just works for me. But Tony Mowbray came in, and you know what, he nurtured the kids in terms of like making them feel like they were the best player in the world. I think when Patrick Roberts wasn't playing, he was saying he's the best player in the league, should be playing in the Premier League. And you think, well, you're not playing him. But we had Jack Clark on form, we had Diallo on form. But when Patrick Roberts came into the team, he was unplayable, and he's continued to be unplayable. And I think he's just got a knack of getting players who are like young and maybe inexperienced, and just being like a father figure to them. And he comes across like that. Like even to fans, you feel like you're speaking to granddad. Do you know what I mean? Like, because he's just a nice, nurturing bloke. And I have to kind of remind myself that I was alive when he actually played football for Ipswich. But I really like Tony Mowbray. I was one of the ones that went, oh my God, that's so unimaginative. And I was like, you should pull out all the stops to get Alex Neil. And that's why I'm not paid to make the big decisions, because I'm a complete idiot. And I would get it wrong. And Tony Mowbray's a great, great man. And I hope he gets the striker that he bloody well deserves.
Talking the summer and the pre-season, the transfer window, how's it going? I've seen spent a bit of money. It's not obviously tens of millions, obviously, but there's a bit of money been spent in the summer. But like you mentioned, you're still short on striker, it seems, in the attacking area. That seems an issue at the minute.
Can you just remind me what a striker is? And I'll tell you if we need one. We haven't had one for ages. I mean, look, it's a combination of bad luck and, in my opinion, like borderline not great recruitment. But like every other part of it has been good recruitment. Like, you know, the players I mentioned before, Jack Clark's gone from being a player that couldn't really get in like QPR or Stokes team to being chased by Burnley, who were like an exciting team and just being promoted. And we've seen what they were like, and they've obviously got a good young manager there that sees something in Jack, and they've been after him all summer. Diallo in that last season, Roberts, you know, they're all the part of the recruitment model that we brought in. But I think, you know, the way Ross Stewart plays to us is so important, and you guys will know this more than most of the teams in the Championship because you've seen him at League One level, and he's not just a big lump that scores goals. He runs the channels. I think he's God. I love him. I'm very biased, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. But I think Sunderland fans will tend to agree it's massively important to how we play. But he gets injured, I think, 5 games in. I think it was the game after we played Hughes, actually. When we beat you 3-0. He scored twice in that, and he gets injured, and you're thinking, oh, for God's sake. So then that happens, and then he's out for, I think he was out for 3 months, and Ellis Sims 2 games later got injured, and you can't do anything at that point. But a lot of people said you need to sign a third striker, and we were interested in, or we wanted Nathan Broadhead because he had a good season for us, and he went to Wigan, so that didn't happen. So you're kind of like, oh, we've got 2 strikers, both of them being injured, it's a bit of bad luck, but fix it in January. So Ross Stewart comes back, and you think, well, there's Ross Stewart. He starts scoring as soon as he looks at the pitch, and you think, oh, brilliant, Ross goes back, that's fantastic. We'll bring in Joe Geldhart, who's a number 10. No matter what anyone at Leeds tells you, he's a number 10. I'm telling you, he's never going to score you 20 goals a season at any level. But you think, good young player, playing a number 10, good foil, you know. And Ellis Sims gets recalled just as he starts coming back from injury and scoring goals. And you think, well, Geldhart's coming in, and you've got Ross Stewart. It'll be all right. And then Ross Stewart, like, breaks his Achilles or whatever it is. And you just think, oh, brilliant. So Geldhart goes up front, and Geldhart scored 3 goals for us, one of them against Rotherham. It didn't really work out for Geldhart. It's not really his fault. He's not a centre forward, like I say. He had to learn to be a centre forward before he could even play like that. And by the time you get to the end of the season, it was just like 6 up front. But it totally worked. And you just thought somehow we've worked with 6 midfielders up front somehow. We've got into the playoffs, and like you just think, oh, well, you know, fair enough, fair play, Tony, you know, fix this in the summer, bring in a striker. But at the minute, we've only brought in a 19-year-old that's never played senior football. He looks all right, but
it's a big ask, isn't it?
It's a huge ask, mate. That kid shouldn't have the pressure of having to score 15 goals a season. It should be a case of you only, you know, if you score 5, well done, mate. Next season you get 10. Next season you get 15, and you're going to grow and get better. But that's just not our recruitment model. We sign young players, and I think there's a bit of frustration at the moment, combined with the fact that we've lost 2 games in the league and got beat off Crewe on penalties in the League Cup. That things that seemed okay-ish last season because the results were fine on the pitch, now you're starting to see the problems that a lot of people, me self included, could see sort of coming. But we're 2 games in. The same recruitment team brought in Diallo and Roberts and Clark and all that. So I don't know. We need a striker at the end of the day. You cannot play a season without a striker. Now I worry that if we don't bring in an experienced, good striker for not a decent bit of money, I'm not talking 10 million, like a couple of million here or there, that can do the job of a Ross Stewart and, you know, aid this young boy we've come in who's definitely got a bit of talent. I worry we might be on the other end of the spectrum. But you lose your first 2 games of the season, suddenly everything's terrible, isn't it? Like, so ask me in 6 weeks, I'll tell you I don't know what I was worried about. Signed a striker, recruitment's amazing, we're going to win the league. So life of a football fan goes week by week, but we know that better than anyone, don't we? So
do we? Yeah, definitely. Is Ross Stewart still injured?
Sadly, yes.
Okay.
Very
sorry.
still.
No, I shouldn't wish that, but I'm quite pleased.
For you, it's beneficial, yes.
Yeah. And Jack Clark, I know it was again linked with Burnley in the summer. Is it settled down, or is there still talk that he could find his way off this window?
I wouldn't count it out completely. I think that it's settled down recently. He scored a penalty on Saturday, and he's looked not as good as he had done last season, but he was exceptional last season. And I think it's natural that transfer talk can affect you a little bit. I think it's been something that his agent's pushed. His agent is Ian Hart, for all those old enough to remember 90s footballers that could score a decent free kick. Let's put it this way. There was rumours of Burnley putting in 7 million. I'm guessing they wanted to buy his left boot. And then they put in 9 million. I'm guessing they wanted the laces to go with it. And then it was 10 million rising to 12. And the bids kept coming in, and you think, well, who's encouraging this? Then it dies down, and then all of a sudden, Ian Hart comes out with a now deleted tweet replying to a Sunderland fan who said, "Oh, hopefully Jack Clark ties up a new deal. he replies saying, "I wish that was the case, but it's not." Zipped face, then deletes the. So I think we can see who's been pushing the narrative to get somebody a bit more money. In my personal opinion, I personally think, and touch wood, I'm definitely touching wood here, and I'm not putting money on it, but I think we'll see Jack stay until at least January, and I hope so. He's a very, very important player, and he's done very well for us.
Yeah, I do like Jack Clark, very good player. Just the first of all, talk about the first league games, because I think a couple of games are mostly irrelevant, to be honest. 2 defeats, 2 very close defeats, to be fair. Ipswich, you look at what Ipswich did at the weekend as well. I can't believe they played now. They did well anyway.
Somebody in the championship.
Somebody in the championship.
Definitely,
but they had a good
in the championship.
Yeah. And then Preston again, tough place to go, and a narrow defeat. I know it's easy to get down from those. Is it just nerves? Is it just the lack of the strikers? Is there an issue there, or do you think it's just one of those things?
There's 2 parts of it, really. I mean, to me, you look at the striker, and I think Tony Mowbray said 3 things in his press conference on Saturday. He said, "Oh, I felt we were a bit naive," and he said, we didn't have people on the end of things, and we didn't have enough people in the 6-yard box." And I kind of think he's kind of right with that, and that is Sunderland in a nutshell. Like, our average age is like 22 or something like that. And then you look outside of that, we don't really have a striker. We didn't play with a striker on Saturday. We brought the young boy on later on, played with Bradley Dack up front, because he's a striker now, apparently. And you look at stuff like that, and you think it's obvious why we failed. But if I'm completely honest, if you look at the goals we conceded, it's the goals being conceded that's a big problem. Like, defensively, there's 2 goals that have been really poor in both games, especially the opening goal, and that's because we're playing Luke O'Nien at centre-back, who did play a lot of last season at centre-back, but I don't think he's very good in the 4. He originally was a number 10 when we first signed him. He's played a lot more in defence for us over the years, but the defence has been a bit shaky recently, so it's easy for me to pinpoint the blame on the striker, but a bit of naivety in defence. And I think Joe Bellingham was one of the ones where he gave the ball away sort of early doors. Second half, sorry, it was the second goal. Bellingham gives the ball away, and they break, and there's a couple of mistakes in defence, but it's like losing the ball high up the pitch and silly things like naivety. But this is the frustration for me. This doesn't mirror every Sunderland fan, is that 17-year-olds like Joe Bellingham should be allowed to make mistakes and have someone slightly more experienced to cover them. I'm happy for us to play 8, 12-year-olds that are like related to Jude Bellingham, if you want, as long as we have 3 34-year-olds that can be like helping him out. And we don't really have that at the moment, and it's creating a bit of naivety across the pitch.
Yeah, you don't know. Put that to a Tony Mowbray team. It's normally you expect experienced players with, but if that's their recruitment model, that's obviously the recruitment model. Is there a style this season? Again, it's difficult to tell 2 games, and I feel stupid asking this question, to be honest with you. But is there a style or way you set playing? We've played a couple of teams that tried to play out and tried to press us, and we've struggled at times with the press against Stoke in the opening game. Is there a set style that's coming this season yet?
Yeah, I think Mowbray only knows one way, really. There was a couple of games last season. I think Burnley away, he defended for once, which was a bit mad. We got a 0-0 draw, so have that, Burnley. But we're just a really good team to watch. We're nice to watch, to be fair, but sometimes it can be, if I can swear, all fart and no shite, which is a bit of a shame, and that can sometimes happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, but we look really nice on the pitch. Like, Patrick Roberts is a wonderful footballer to watch. If you like watching Lionel Messi, then this is the championship version of it in English. But he's a wonderful player to watch. Jack Clark's great. We're better away from home probably than we are at home because we can break very fast. But it's just past, try to find the opportunities, keep the ball and be a little bit too open at the back. But that's just Tony Mowbray's way, and I quite like it. I just wish he had a centre forward. Have I mentioned that?
Yeah, once or twice, I think.
Have I mentioned it?
And we'll finish with a prediction if you can. Again, these early games are a nightmare to predict, but give us your best guess at a result for Saturday if you can.
I'm going to come out with that thing on where like teams like Rotherham, but I'm not going to say it because I know I'm just going to annoy people. But I mean, Rotherham at home on paper, and I hope no one's offended by saying this, based on the season we had last year, should be a game we should win, but so should Rotherham away have been last year, and we didn't. I think we need to win on Saturday. Sunderland, like any massive club, if you lose 3 games in a row, it's crisis. Like, that's it. Everything, like Rome has burnt, and you're done. I think it's a much tougher game than people expect. I think on paper, people go, oh, Rotherham finished 19th last season, XYZ, should be winning at home. And maybe there's an element of me that has that opinion as well. But there's good players on that pitch. Hugo's he's experienced Championship striker that's played in the Premier League. You've got Humphreys at the back, who's obviously a former Man City Academy player. So I think it's tight, but I think we just edge it 2-1, which is probably not good news. I don't know where we're getting the 2 goals from. Own goals, maybe.
Might help, yeah.
You scored one of the best own goals I've ever seen against us, so you never know. But I think we just edge it, but I don't think it's the game that we see last year when we won 3-0 because, well, there's a striker that played for us that day that's got 2 of them, and Jack Clark just seemed to run through the entire defence, and I don't think that's going to happen very often. So I'd like to think a win. I think we need to aim for a win. I think a draw spells a bit of danger, but I don't think it's straightforward.
No. Yes, it's not going to be a classic. I said this for all our games so far. This won't be a classic because we won't make it a classic. Just before we go, Graham, if you want to let everybody know if anybody wants to check out sort of your preview for the game and post-match, where can they find your stuff?
Done all the regular stuff. I think, what is it? Spotify, Podbean, Apple, YouTube. I don't know. There's loads in now, isn't there? But if you put in at What the Falk Pod on Twitter, I tend to be spouting relatively angry opinions on a Saturday afternoon around 4:45, 4:55, and rubbish most of the time the rest of the week. But not on a serious note, if you want to come in and listen to the preview, which of course you'll be on, you're more than welcome to. If not, I won't hold it against you. Go watch other things. I'm not going to hold it against you. You know, it's fair play. But if you want to, you can.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you everyone who is listening and watching. Please make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already and like the video as well. And join us for all the other stuff we have going. And we will see you all next time. And up the Millers.